Hey, what's up, everybody? Take three. Why the Palo Verde is such an awesome tree and the state tree of Arizona. At first glance, this might look like a kind of a pretty nasty tree, which in all respects it is. I have trimmed these and maintained these for a number of years, and there's nothing really fun about doing that. However, I have a lot of respect for this tree, and I want to tell you guys why this is such a hardcore tree in the desert. It requires almost zero maintenance or care, especially if you don't water it. If you overwater these, that's where they've gained their bad reputation, or whatever reputation they have, because they're overwatered everywhere in the valley here, and they grow way too fast. They're holding way too much water. They're not doing at all what they spent hundreds of thousands of years developing themselves to do. So if you leave these to themselves, they're amazing trees. They're virtually maintenance free, and they don't break if they're left to themselves. We overwater these, we overtrim them, and we lift them up. We change their structure of how they've developed to grow. So we create the problems that these trees are known for. Anyways, what I want to talk about is what I've learned from these trees, from coworkers and my mentors who are experts in the field of desert horticulture. Some really unique features about these. One is that the reason their bark and every part of them is green, unlike pretty much any other tree, is that all parts of them are designed to produce chlorophyll. So the number two cool thing about these trees is when they're stressed out and overheated and it's very dry, rather than evaporating all the moisture in the tree, they close down, they go into a survival mode, and instead of losing all the moisture that they're really greedy, working hard to hold on to, they don't want to transpire it, they drop their leaves. These little tiny leaves that you see, I mean, they're tiny. They can drop all of these leaves. They get a little more dense than this one is now, but they can drop all those leaves in, a day or two, and it'll just be a bare looking tree. And yet they can survive because the bark on this tree is absorbing the sunlight energy. It's converting it into plant food for the tree as chlorophyll. So this tree can actually create chlorophyll without leaves. Just the bark alone does that on this tree, which is very unique in the arboriculture world. The other thing that's kind of goes along the same lines as what I've been talking about is very rarely will you see one of these grow as a traditional tree with a trunk, just a single trunk. They're almost always multi-trunk. They branch off from the ground, and the reason for that is to create more surface area of the green bark to be able to process sunlight without the aid of the leaves on the tree. So it's mostly what I wanted to say about why the Palo Verde is so awesome. It's an underrated tree. Oh, the other thing I want to tell you guys is when you don't trim them up off the ground, if you just let them grow the way they want to in the desert, they don't break and they don't blow over in a monsoon, in a windstorm, in a microburst or haboob. They grow naturally with the branches touching the ground, so they kind of hold themselves in place and also provide habitat for desert animals, which in turn, because they're sheltered by the Palo Verde, they tend to fertilize the Palo Verde, both all possible ways, and it's just kind of a win-win for everything in the desert. So anyways, that's why you should appreciate the humble Palo Verde tree.